Okay, so it looks like we're recording. Does it say in recording for you guys on your end? I'm in a little bit of a weird view since I'm sharing my screen.
Yes, it does.
That's great. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about two different programs, the PIKE-PREP program and the Prestige program. And they're two sister programs offered here at the University of Colorado Anschutz, with just the slightest of differences between the two. Prestige is a newer program that's coming in as a sister program with PIKE-PREP. And so if you're here, you probably may have heard about this informational session being advertised as PIKE-PREP, but we also wanted to introduce you all to Prestige to see if that might be, potentially even a better fit for you. So it kind of depends on your future interests and goals. And we'll kind of get into those details, but I'm going to start with PIKE-PREP and kind of introducing you to that program. So PIKE-PREP stands for Preparation in Interdisciplinary Knowledge to Excel. It's a post-baccalaureate research program that's funded in large part for us by the National Institutes of Health. So in this program, the goal or mission of PIKE-PREP is that we have developed a mentoring or research training experience. It's a year-long experience to prepare post-baccalaureate students or students who have earned their bachelor's degree to succeed and be accepted into a top-tier graduate PhD or MD PhD program. This program is specific for students that are considered underrepresented in the field of biomedical science, and that's something that we will get into a little bit more as we go further in the presentation. All right, so just a big picture overview of the program. If you're accepted into PIKE-PREP, you will have a year-long research experience that's mentored, and that goal of that is to strengthen your research and technical skills, high quality professional and career development activities. So we do activities and programming throughout the entire year in addition to your research experience. And those activities are geared towards the needs of the scholars that we have in that cohort. So if the needs were different from this year's cohort to next year's, we would tailor the professional development activities that we do to what it is that you need. But largely it's activities that are geared towards helping you develop as a professional, getting you ready for graduate school, supporting you in being ready to apply for graduate school, helping you with your applications and getting those ready, and really, even responsible research and conduct trainings that are going to help prepare you to be a really successful graduate school student once you're accepted into grad school. We also do community building. We have an ambassador program where our scholars are linked with a graduate student mentor. So they have additional mentorship in addition to the program leaders and your own research lab that you get placed in. You also have graduate student mentors that support you and meet with you regularly. And then there's also other benefits to entering in the PREP program. And one of those is that you have a competitive salary. So our scholars, do I have that coming up? I think so. Our scholars get a paid stipend of $35,000 for their participation in the program. And in addition to that, I guess I said stipend, but really I should have said salary. They're paid a salary of $35,000 for their year in the program. And in addition, an additional $5,000 to help support with getting benefits, healthcare, dental, vision benefits to pay for those. You also get graduate school application assistance. In our PIKE-PREP program, we have guaranteed interviews into our graduate school programs. And so our students also get automatic interviews into the graduate school. You get a travel allowance in order to attend and present at a scientific conference, tuition remission for any coursework or graduate level coursework that you may need to help show that you can be successful at that level. So PIKE-PREP is for students that have already decided and are committed to pursuing a career in a PhD or an MD PhD type program. So they're for students that already know that this is what you want to do, but you need some extra assistance. You're lacking, your graduate school application is lacking in some way. Maybe it's academics and your grades. You need to show that you're capable of doing graduate level coursework. So it could be a GPA type issue. Oftentimes it's research. You need more and additional, maybe more in-depth research experience than what you currently have. It's also for students who are considered to be underrepresented in the field of biomedical sciences. This is outlined really well on the website, but there's 3 areas that you can qualify as underrepresented in biomedical sciences. One is being either having race or ethnicity that is classified by the National Institutes of Health as underrepresented. So those are Hispanic, Latino, African American, Black. Let's see, I'm pulling these a little bit off the top of my head, but I know I'll get them. Native American and Native Alaskan, Pacific Islander or Native Hawaiian. And I think that's it. Adela, did I miss anything? Dr. Cota Gomez?
No, that's it.
Okay. And
For
then
race and ethnicity.
for race and ethnicity. So that's one classification of underrepresented, or you are. Another classification would be if you have a disability. And then the third classification is that you are disadvantaged. And the NIH would classify you as disadvantaged if you meet 2 categories in that category. So that would be things such as growing up in rural America, growing up in poverty, growing up being in being a first generation student. I'm pulling some of these a little off the top of my head. Again, these are listed really clearly on the website, which I can show you guys in a little bit here. And then the last classification of the students who PIKE-PREP is for, so you need to meet all 3 of these. You need to be committed to earning a PhD, MD, PhD, one of those degrees, or a degree that has PhD in it, like a DPT would work as well. And then be underrepresented. And then the last one is that you need to have earned your baccalaureate's degree in a biomedical sciences field within 36 months of PIKE-PREP. And so if you are outside of that 36 months window, you would need to show the extenuating circumstances. And those, again, are also listed on our website, what would qualify you as having an extenuating circumstance that you would be applying outside of that 36 months within applying to PIKE-PREP. Okay, some other eligibility that I wanted to go through with you in order to qualify for the program. And these are set out again by the National Institute of Health. So you can see, oh, there I put it, good. They do state that you need to be a US citizen or permanent resident. There are some exceptions where we can work with students that have a student visa already in place. We can't host any students on a visa. But if you already had one, and this would be a case you would need to reach out to me directly in order to discuss. We do have some limited funding for some slots for students that either might be DACA students or might be international students. But again, I do have to emphasize it's very limited, and it would be in a really specific case situation that we would be able to do that. Belong to the UR group, so I listed that there again. Have earned a baccalaureate degree within 36 months. A strong scientific background. We really want to look at your transcripts and see that you have good biological, chemical, and physical science coursework. We do not have a minimum GPA for this, but if you have grades that are, in that C, D, F range, we just need you to explain why, and we would like to see an upward trajectory in your grades. That, if you had a hiccup in life, something happened that was a barrier for you, then how is it that you're working to overcome that? So that we can see that you'll be successful in the program and in graduate school. There's no required research experience, but that is a huge plus that you've had some to show that you are dedicated and you know that this is the type of career you would want to go into. Okay, so just a little bit more information before I switch it over and kind of introduce the Prestige program for you. So when we get into the website, so I have the link and the QR code here. But I'm going to open this up and see if I can pull up our website. Just one moment here. Okay.
Our view didn't change, so maybe you're sharing.
Right, yeah, no, I will have to switch my share. I'm going to stop my sharing and I'm going to reshare with that. Thanks. Thank you so much. Okay, so on our website here, it's going to go through just a few things I wanted to show you guys. It goes through our mission, and it's going to have our application dates and the Apply Now button. The Apply Now button will take you to the application. When you start the application, you can stop, but save the code that it generates you so you can get back in and re-edit within your original application instead of starting a new one over and over and over again. So that would be very helpful. So our application dates are open until March 30th, and it will close on March 30th. So if you miss that deadline, you will be considered for placement. It's very important that you get your applications in early and don't wait to the last minute to apply. Our next early review here is on February 8th. That's the deadline for you to get your application in and your 2 minimum letters of rec in order for us to review your application in one of the early reviews. And then our final review will be all applications starting on March 30th. So the earlier you can get your application in, the earlier you can be reviewed. If your application is not selected during the February 8th, the review that we do based on that deadline, your application will automatically be shifted into the next review. So you won't be dropped out. Your application will move into that next review. Okay. Also on here, we have some program overview details and some more information. So here you can see if you go into the program overview and details, it's going to talk again about who is it for. It has our dates. It goes over our timeline and some of the activities that we're going to do throughout the year with you. Under PREP scholars receive, you're going to see the salary, the tuition, and some of the benefits that you receive, the financial benefits of participating in the program. We do have different research areas and program mentors listed here for you. It's a wide array. So our PREP program is different than some in that you don't have to specialize in one specific focus area like neuroscience. So ours is more broad, that you can do research in any of the areas. And then we do have a list of faculty. This is just for you to look through and see some of the faculty that could potentially serve as a research mentor for you if you entered the program. But I do want to stress to you that in the application, there's a spot for you to list if there's faculty that you're really interested in working with. However, what we're going to do is look at your research interests, read your personal statement, your research statement, and we will be the ones that will be matching you with your mentors. You do not need to reach out to faculty and set up your own mentor. So that's something that we want to do, and we want to coordinate for you, and we will put you with who we believe is going to be the very best mentor for you in the program. Once you get through this, let's see here. We have some other information. So a little bit about our graduate school and graduate programs can be found under this tab here. Eligibility, again, now this is where I was telling you the links for finding out the notice of NIH's interest in diversity. This will have the specific links about what it means to be disadvantaged, what it means to be disabled. And so if you have any questions about your eligibility from that UR standpoint, you can definitely read that, and that will help you. You can also reach out to me, though. I'm happy to answer your questions there as well. And then I think we have the how to apply facts, and the how to apply is kind of interesting because it's going to tell you how to get all your stuff together before you start applying, so you know a little bit about what you're going to need. And then we have our facts and questions, and these are common questions that we've gotten, and hopefully some answers to your questions there. And so that's just a little bit, and you can see our current class. It has some information on our current scholars right now that are in there, and that's very interesting as well. That'll give you an idea of some of the amazing people we get to work with here. So I'm going to reshare and share my presentation again with you. All righty. So I'm going to shift really quickly before we go into our Q&A session into the Prestige program. And so Nancy or Jenny, would you guys like to talk about Prestige and some of the differences of that program, or would you like me to continue on?
Yeah, hi, Chandra, thanks. I think Nancy was going to say a few words about Prestige.
Great.
So basically, this is, my name is Nancy Miller, and I am the interim program manager coordinator for this program. And as Shawnee had mentioned, this is a sister program. And so we're brand new, it's our first year. And so basically what we're focusing on is, you know, the students that are committed to pursuing an MD or an MD PhD in biomedical research, as the slide says. And so our due dates are the same as the PIKE program. And then we also have our website for you to go out and look at. And then the next slide has our contact information as well, and a little bit of details about our program director. Jenny is our program associate director. And so if you have any questions, please email the prestige@cuanschutz.edu and one of us will respond to you.
Great, and I'll just add in a little bit on that, is that the prestige program is going to be just nearly identical to the prep program, except for that it is a 2-year program with some potentials to go into that 1-year slot if you were accepted already into medical school or MD PhD, but it's designed to be a 2-year program. So that would be one unique difference about it. And salaries, all of that was going to be the same. We're going to be doing a lot of the programming side by side. So we'll have very similar programming, but when we need to tailor it more for medical school versus PhD, you will have probably a little bit of a separation of the 2 cohorts at that point. So, Jenny, were you going to say something?
I was basically going to echo you, actually. So thank you, Chandra, for saying that. I wanted to point out, too, that if you are interested in MD, PhD, both of these programs might be appropriate to you. So I think we're just telling people to apply to either one of them, or maybe apply to PIKE-PREP, Chandra, and we'll work it out between the 2 programs where you would fit best.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So MD PhD is a little bit more free flowing because we meet as a group of the 2 of us, our 2 admissions committees, to decide which slots are MD PhDs, because they will work on both programs. And so that's a little bit less of an issue. If you know you're more MD focused, then you would want to apply to Prestige. If you know you're a little bit more research PhD focused, you would want to apply to Prep. But if you're in that middle ground with the dual programming, then you would want to do, it wouldn't matter. You could do either, and we will filter those applications between our 2 programs. So, all right, with that, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. And I'd like to answer any questions that you all might have. So feel free to unmute yourself and ask your questions.
Yeah, I just had one question about between the Prestige and PIKE-PREP, because I'm interested in a PhD. So did you say you recommend applying to either or, and we've considered which would be best fit if selected, or should we apply to both?
Yeah, I wouldn't apply to both because the applications you'll find are nearly identical. And so the easiest, it won't matter if you apply to Prestige or PIKE-PREP first, but just go ahead and do the PIKE-PREP one, because I'll pull that application out and then I'm going to be sharing that with the Prestige folks. And so we'll do a review on the MD PhDs together. And so you don't need to worry about that.
Awesome.
Now, if you know for sure that you lean more towards MD, if you had to pick one or the other versus PhD, then I might say you'd want to go ahead and put your application in the Prestige area.
Gotcha. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I had I guess 2 questions.
Right.
One was on timeline as to when we will hear back about whether we got accepted into the program or not. What does that look like? I know there's the early application deadline, but if we get rolled over into the that last kind of section, when would we hear back?
Well, so we do notify applicants kind of on a rolling basis, to be honest with you. And so the second application's due in April, and we have some time between when your application's due and I can pull the committee together to do the review. So it is important that you guys understand that the review doesn't happen on that date that the applications are due. We need to pull the committee. We have to have a lot of meetings and do our selection, and then they'll roll out. So I would say by the end of April, early May, everybody should be notified, but I will notify every applicant one way or the other. And so you'll hear from me.
Okay, great. And then my second question is on the competitiveness of the program. Like, how competitive is it? How many spots do you usually have for the program?
That's a really good question, Megan. Dr. D'Amelia, do you want me to go ahead and do that one, or do you want to jump in? Or yeah, okay, I'll keep going here. So we're fortunate enough to have our program directors here as well. So this is really exciting. So last year, I would say we had a pretty competitive group for sure, and there's already a considerable larger number of applicants this year. So it is looking like we're going to have a pretty competitive pool of applicants for our slots. And so I don't think it's a secret how many slots we have. So we have 8 slots that would be the PIKE-PREP slots, and then we have 4 slots for our prestige that are funded. And but yeah, I think it's going to be a fairly competitive year. We have a lot of applicants. So
Okay, great. Thank you.
yep. Probably not what you want to hear. You probably want to hear, oh, nobody's applying. You're going to get into a problem, but unfortunately it's a great program. So
Totally understand.
okay, Ricardo.
Yeah, I was wondering if you could speak more about, for those students who do get selected, what the mentor matching process is like.
Dr. Cota Gomez, would you mind taking or fielding that question?
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. Yeah, so we try to match, or we do match your mentor to your interest. And so if you tell us that you're interested in neuroscience or cell and molecular or cancer biology, we will match it to that area of interest. But we do the process ourselves, and we will also match it for the kind of degree you want to go towards. So say you want to go for MD PhD. I think you said you wanted to go for MD PhD. We would try to get you a mentor that is in your area of interest, but also has that career trajectory, so that they, in addition to mentoring you in the science, they can mentor you in terms of your career development. But we will know the mentor that you're matched with before the summer begins. Before you start the program, you'll get in contact with them and start just planning your research and planning your hours in the lab and that kind of thing before the program even starts.
Awesome, thank you.
Great. It is important to note, though, that you can always recommend if there's somebody you're really interested in working with to us, but that doesn't always work out. And we always just do the very best we can. And sometimes it's also a matter of putting you with somebody that we think is a really strong mentor. And that can be sometimes more valuable than a specific topic. And so we have a lot of factors that we consider when we place our students with mentors, and we really do our best to really kind of look at you as a whole person and think about what's going to be best for you in your time with us, so that we can serve you the best that we can. So everybody doesn't always get landed with a mentor that they're exactly matched research interest wise, but it is matched based on who we really think is going to be just the best for you.
Makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I had a few questions.
Sure.
My first one is, if we can get our application in by February 8th, do you need all of the letters?
We need the minimum of 2 in order to review the application. So if you might have requested 4, and if 2 of your references have submitted, then that's what we would need. That would be the minimum. So if you have 1 or fewer letters for the early review, then you would get put into the next review round.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks. And then I was also wondering if we could talk a little bit about the individual development plan.
Sure,
Like,
absolutely.
what all goes into it, and like who do we work with, and sort of what are the goals? And
That's a great question, Olivia. Nice. Okay, so the individual, so that's one thing I totally neglected to even say in the presentation. So I'm very glad that you brought that up. I need to add that to the presentation. But every scholar, when you get onboarded into our program, will be given an individualized development plan. And we kind of shorten that to IDP and use it and say IDP kind of throughout the program. But your IDP is a plan that's based on what it is that we think and you think that you need in order to be successful moving forward. What is it that you need to take from the program? So it includes things like we look at academics and do you need coursework to show graduate schools that you can be successful? Maybe you struggled in a particular course, and by taking that at a graduate level, and we have all the supports there under you to take care of you while you're in that graduate course, to show that you can be successful in that specific area. Maybe you need a course to help you understand the content a little better. So if, for example, you were going into immunology, but that was maybe a little weaker of a subject for you, and you need some training or a course or a background in immunology because you want to go that direction. All of our scholars take responsible conduct in research training. That's really important. And it is a requirement of the NIH. And so all of our scholars will have that. I think they all took biostatistics as a graduate level this year. We'll see if we feel like that was really valuable for them and if we can forward with that again next year. And so the coursework is one plan. Another area would be working on your professionalism. So areas that you feel like maybe it's interacting in larger groups or interviewing skills. So one of the things that we do when you enter into the program is you fill out a self-reflection where you reflect in a lot of different key areas, from networking, research experience with technical skills, your coursework experience, some of the softer skills, science communication, science writing. And you really do a really good hard look at yourself and reflect on what it is you think you need. And then you'll meet regularly with one of our PIKE-PREP directors. So Dr. Davilia here is one of our directors, and he meets with a group of the scholars, and Dr. Catalano is our other director, and he meets with another group of scholars on a quarterly basis to go through create the IDP and then update that as you go. They also meet with you just to check in and see how you're doing and make sure that your emotional well-being is taken care of, and that, just you as a whole person are doing well in the program. And if there's anything that we need to do to help support you. What's really something that I'm very proud of with this program and PIKE-PREP is that everything that we do is geared towards helping you all be successful and achieving your goals and your dreams and getting into graduate school. So the entire leadership team is here to support you and do whatever it's going to take to help you be successful. And so it's really rewarding from our standpoint to be able to do that. But from your standpoint, what you need to know is once you're accepted into our program, it is 100% about you and your needs and what we can do to serve you. So.
Thank you so much. That's so exciting.
Yeah, absolutely.
I couldn't think of a better explanation.
Oh, good. Well, good.
I was also wondering if you could talk a little bit about the biostatistics coding. Do you guys use R?
I don't know how to answer that question. Adela? Dr. Cody Gomez?
So you're talking about the course that you take? What
the programming software?
That depends on your research, right? So if you need to take a course in that, then we'll get you into whatever you need. I don't know if the basic course that everybody gets into teaches R or what exactly they teach, but they do one sort of more basic biostatistics course that all the scholars do. But if you need something more specialized for your particular project or for what you want to do going forward in grad school, we will get you that. We will get you into that course. I think the coursework is probably the most individualized, or one of the most individualized parts of the IDPs is that, some students need, most students need different courses, I guess, to take. So I don't know if that answered the question, but if that's what you need, we'll get it for you.
And I think it'll depend on your lab and your mentor as well.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And then I was also wondering, of your current cohort, like how many students also hold an additional job outside of this program, or is it not allowed?
That's actually a really good question. Olivia, you're nailing it today. So thank you so much for being here and asking these great questions. PIKE-PREP is a full-time position. So you are going to not only be in the lab full-time and more, you're also going to be doing coursework. You'll also be attending workshops and seminars. You are going to basically be a graduate student just on a you literally are pretty much like a graduate student with just a little bit of difference in that you have all of us and our team, standing underneath you and helping to lift you and support you. And so this is going to be full-time and more, and you're going to be working hard, but you're going to gain so much from the experience. So external jobs would not be something that I think would be on the table. Yeah.
Gotcha, thank you. And then I was also wondering, like, what sort of organizations we would be presenting at, like for travel or like research presenting.
Can I take that one,
Please.
Shani? So if that's also something that could go into your IDP, right? So if, let's say that very early on you meet with your mentor and your mentor thinks it's really valuable for you to go to a specific scientific society this year, and that's what they want to shoot for and aim for, that's what we would do. We also take our students to other society meetings, like the annual Biomedical Research for Minoritized Students Conference, ABRACAMS, and the Society for the Advancements of Chicano and Native American Scientists, the SACNAS conference. And we think that those conferences are really valuable. So that's another option for you to present at, to go to, and that could be the one that we pay for and we cover for you. Because the reason that we really love those conferences is because they are very, very geared towards the career development of young scientists, students at this level that you are all at, and helping to begin to build your networks. There's just a lot of workshops, a lot of lectures, a lot of seminars on the career development that is at the stage where you guys are at right now. And so that's why we think that those two conferences are really valuable. And if it turns out that, look, really what you need is experience in presenting and going to a science conference in general, then those are great options too. Because in addition to having that experience, the experience of submitting an abstract, getting it accepted, making a poster, going and presenting the poster, you're also going to have all of these career development workshops, all of this career development training that can happen at those conferences, which you may or may not get that much of at a science conference that's very, very specific to a particular research area. And so it definitely goes into your IDP. And so it can go either way. Yeah.
That was a great explanation. Our scholars loved going to ABRACAMS and SACNAS this year. It was so cool. I mean, it was my first time going to those, and I had a blast. I learned so much. I couldn't attend enough sessions. There were too many overlapping that were so neat. So it's neat. Our scholars really enjoyed those and really got a lot of professional development and networking out of it, which was really helpful for them.
Yeah, so I think that was very valuable to them is that those two conferences are really, really popular for recruiters, for graduate school recruiters. So program directors of graduate programs, MSTP programs, MD, PhD programs, medical schools, they go to those conferences and they go there for the purpose of recruiting great talent. And these students are going there and presenting oral presentations, presenting posters, and the recruiters go to those presentations and listen to the students and can even approach the students and say, hey, I'm from the University of Colorado, and I'd love for you to give me a call and we can chat about, your potential at our university. And so our students really got a lot of benefit from that this year. They went and they made sure they visited the booths. They talked to the program directors of the programs that they were planning to apply to, which they're doing right now, and they started to make those connections and start to get to know those program directors And it was really very helpful to them in that sense as well. And that's another thing that you're not going to get very much of at other conferences, where this one, both of those conferences happen in the fall, in October and November, which is right before the season where you start applying for graduate school. And so it was very, very beneficial to them in that sense as well.
They also have a lot of graduate students there for the programs representing, so you can talk to graduate students that are in the different programs and find out what their take is on and what it's been like for them, what it's like to live in that area. So that was really neat too, that I got to see. So good. Other questions?
I have a couple questions. So, in terms of getting to know like that area of Colorado, is there like a community kind of development thing that we go out and like do things together and whatnot, just so we can get to know that area better? Because I know personally I'm very outdoorsy, and I'm seeing Adela's background and I'm like, this looks amazing. Love a good hike. So I was just wondering if there's any sort of community outreach.
That's a good question, and I actually can answer that for you. So yes, Adela, that was a good job picking your background to highlight the Rocky Mountains. So if you're into hiking and being in the outdoors, gosh, then Colorado is a great place for you. But we do multiple things. So when you're brought into our program, you're also integrated in with our graduate school student programs. And so they have a lot of outreach and activities that our graduate students do. And you're encompassed and brought into that through our student services. And so you're invited to attend that. You can join student societies like SACNAS would be one of our clubs and groups that helps you meet people and make friends. And then we also developed we call it our near peer ambassador program, but we've kind of shortened it to just being our ambassador, our program here. And so all of our students are, and we have just an amazing president that runs that ambassador program for us, but you'll be partnered with one of our graduate students one-on-one. They will be your mentor for the whole year. You'll meet with them monthly, multiple times a month, and they do activities. They've gone whitewater rafting. They went to the Denver Botanical Gardens and did the lights together as a whole group. They've had poker nights and going to the bar nights and just hanging out nights, having breakfast together. So they're an active group, and they, in addition to it being a big group with a lot of grad students meeting with all of you, and you guys will be getting together with one another as well for community development, you also have this huge group of ambassadors, and then you're one-on-one in that group. That's your big brother, big sister type mentor. And so there's a lot of ways that we try to connect you in. And that doesn't even include just the way you'll connect in your research labs. You'll meet grad students that are probably in your research labs as well and develop relationships that way that will extend out. So there's a lot of ways that you can get involved being in campus and being part of our graduate school even before you're in our graduate school. Because ideally, I guess if I had my way, and I think we had our way, we would like to keep you in our graduate school once you're done with our program. We want you to fall in love with Anschutz and want to stay here. And then we can have you be ambassadors to our future prep scholars after that. So.
Great. Thank you so much. That was great to hear, because I'm big about like fitting in with the culture and everything else. So that's really good information to have. And then an additional question I had was actually to do with housing. So I know other programs that I've looked into kind of do like either university sanctioned housing, or they are suggesting renting off campus or whatever it may be. And I know from personally, housing can be a big stressor. So I didn't know if there was any sort of like help in that realm.
So that's going to be a little bit tougher. And that's probably something that we're going to talk about as we set up for this year's prep program, and trying to connect scholars maybe with one another before you come to campus, you know, allowing you guys to reach out to one another. We do not have on-campus university housing at Anschutz. There is housing nearby and surrounding the Anschutz campus that's, you know, walking distance. We also have a really great light rail system. So if you live near the light rail system somewhere, you can ride the light rail in, and it takes you right to our campus as well. It's a little bit of a jog from where it drops you off, but you guys are very young, and I've done it. I can walk it, as my old lady said, so I have a feeling you guys will be just fine. But there's also like a little shuttle bus that'll take you in if you don't want to walk in. And so housing is something that you'll need to find. And if you are interested in the rooming situation, that's something that we're going to talk about as we kind of get ready for the next cohort, if we want to share that contact information so you guys can reach out to one another and see if there's potential for roommates that way. So
we can definitely help you once like you're accepted and you're starting to make plans. We can definitely help you to connect you with potential places where you could rent and things like that. But yeah, that is definitely a drawback. When on our campus, we don't have student housing. There is student housing on our downtown campus, which is our undergraduate campus. And I have a feeling that, it wouldn't take a huge amount of effort on our part to contact them, and they would welcome you guys into the student housing that's down there, but it's downtown. It's probably a 45-minute bus ride to there. I don't know, a 35-minute drive. I mean, it's not right on campus. But it would be kind of, I think, an easy place to set up for housing if you wanted to go that way. And I'm not sure how competitive the rates are in terms of, compared to the apartment housing rental market that's near our campus. That's something I could probably look into and get for you, but I think we could make it happen. And that is very convenient. All our undergraduate summer programs, they use the housing downtown for those students. Those are like undergrad students that come to campus for 8 to 10 weeks. And most of them, I think right now are using that. And they give students bus passes. The students can take buses or the light rail, as Ms. Fordham said, and it's a 15-minute walk to an old lady like me from where the bus is or the train gets off. So for you, and then Dr. Davila takes in a scooter. So if you bring in a scooter, it's a 5-minute scooter ride. So it's very, very doable, and we could definitely help you and just provide that assistance for you.
The good news is that we are one of the highest funded. The salary that you get with our PIKE-PREP program is one of the highest, if not the highest in the nation. And so it does help hopefully offset some of those costs of housing for you. So, all right, other questions that you guys have? Well, then I will wrap up and let you know. Oh, Olivia, I saw your mic come off.
Sorry, I have one more
No,
question.
it's good.
Do you guys have like publishing committee, or like, how like some graduate school programs still have like publishing club, or maybe they'll call it something different, like journal club?
We do run professional development on journaling, doing a journal club and running a journal club. I believe the graduate schools have, depending on which topic and your focus area is, that they have their own journal clubs that you can attend. So if you were in immunology or neurology, they would have their own graduate school journal clubs, and you would have the opportunity to participate in that. Each individual lab will sometimes run journal clubs. I know Dr. Davila, he runs a journal club in his lab meetings. They'll do journal reviews, I guess if you call the club or a review. And then we bring in some writing workshops for you guys to support you in developing your writing. And our writing center has a lot of writing workshops that go out for all grad students as well. So there's opportunities for you to work on your presenting and writing while you're here on campus. But we don't run a specific, how do I say it, like a publishing per se. If you're getting ready to publish, you would be doing that with your research mentor in the lab, and they would be working you through that process there. Am I speaking incorrectly, Dr. Cota Gomez? I just want to make sure I'm saying that right.
No, that's correct. You definitely get a lot of scientific writing training in the program, and a lot of other kind of writing, like writing your personal statement, writing an abstract, and that kind of writing. But journal club, yeah, she described it perfectly. We do a mini journal club in the program in the spring, But yes, anything that's very specific to any manuscripts that you're writing yourself in your research, that's all gonna fall under your mentor to kind of help you with.
Thank you so much.
Any other last minute questions? Well, just know that if questions come to you, that I'm here. You can always reach me at the pike.prep@cuanschutz.edu. And so feel free to reach out to me with any questions. I'll be sending you guys a copy of this session so that you guys have the recording, and I'll also get this posted up on the website for people. So if others have questions, that they can have the information, because we had our little link glitch there that started us off. So, but I appreciate you guys. I appreciate your persistence in reaching out to us when the link wasn't there and working, and excellent job doing that. And let me know if you have any questions or anything comes up in your application process. And I look forward to having your applications come through.
Thank
All
you so
right.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks
Manson.
all
Thank
for your
you, Megan.
interest.